Hey everyone, Cody from Mac Telecom Networks. It's about time we do another video showing Unifi Access. About 6 months ago, I did a review and installation of my Unifi Access down in my network room, but a lot has changed since then with new firmware updates. If you guys want to see that video, I will post the link for it. If you guys are new here, please hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the bell icon. If you'd like to hire me for network consulting, visit www.mactelecomnetworks.com. You'd find us on Instagram at mactelecomnetworks. And if you'd like to support the channel, we have an Amazon store, and I'll put a link in the description below. Ubiquiti sent me the Unifi Starter Access Kit around 6 months ago when I did my initial video. This isn't a sponsored video and they did not pay me. All the views are my own. First, let's do an overview of all of the equipment that we're going to be using, and then we'll get into some of the settings with the Unifi Access. First up, we have our Unifi Access Hub. If you're buying the Unifi Access Starter Kit, the Access Starter Kit costs $499 MSRP US. If you're buying them all individually, the Unifi Access Hub costs $199 US MSRP. On the top of the Unifi Access Hub, we have our power input, which is powered by 802.3 BT PoE++. These other three ports are 802.3 AF PoE ports. We have our one port for our Access Reader Lite, our Access Reader Pro, and then a G3 Flex camera. Below that, we have a reset button, and then we have a line-powered output relay, which is 12 volts with 0.33 amp. We have our request to enter, request to exit, and then we have our door position sensor. Below that, we have the remote release. On the other side, we have another dry output relay. Then we have a powered output relay at 12 volt, 1 amp. At the bottom, we have another powered output relay at 12 volt, 0.33 amp. On the back, we have our mounting bracket release. We would just pull it down to release it from the bracket. Next up, we have our Unifi Access Reader Pro, and this is $299 MSRP US. The Unifi Access Reader Pro is a premium NFC and Bluetooth reader. It's powered by 802.3 AF PoE. It has a high-resolution touchscreen and integrated camera. It has a built-in security element chip, and for the best NFC security, we would want to use the Unifi Access cards. Lastly, we have the Unifi Access Reader Lite, which is $99 MSRP US. The Access Reader Lite is an NFC and Bluetooth reader, and it's powered by 802.3 AF PoE. On the sides, we have an LED ring. When it's adopted into our controller, it will be blue. The Access Reader Lite has a built-in security element chip, and for the best NFC security, we're going to want to use the Unifi Access NFC cards. Now that we've seen the parts that come with the Unifi Access Starter Kit, let's look to see what we could connect to it. So most 12-volt electric bolt strikes will work with the Unifi Access, as well as maglocks. We could also add motion sensors, push buttons, and alarms. So I bought two different things. I bought one maglock and then a strike. This is the Doorstike that I bought. It was $65 Canadian. It's just to do my testing for this video. And then we have this other maglock. It's not the best maglock, but for this video, it will work fine. And we'll test both of them out. Now let's take a look at the topology for my network with the Unifi Access. So one thing to note, you must have a Unifi Dream Machine Pro for you to be able to control the Unifi Access controller. As of right now, in April 2021, the Unifi Access controller is only available on the UDM Pro. That may change in the future, we'll see. How I have it, I have my UDM Pro connecting to the internet, and then I have my USW aggregation switch connecting to UDM Pro. On the Unifi aggregation switch, we have a connection going to my Unifi 16 Lite PoE. And from there, we have one connection going to the USW Pro 24 PoE. From the USW Pro PoE, we're powering the Unifi Access Hub with PoE++, and then off the Access Hub, we're powering up the Unifi Pro reader, the Lite reader, and then we will power up a G3 Flex. So let's go ahead, plug in the Unifi Access Hub, the Reader Pro, and the Reader Lite. All right, now it's time to get everything powered up, and the switch we're using is the USW Pro PoE 24. This has PoE++ ports, which we need to power up our Unifi Access Hub. This cable right here is plugging into my US 16 PoE Lite, and this will be used as our uplink, so I'm going to plug that into port 24. Now I have another network cable, which I'm going to plug into the power port of the Unifi Access Hub. And then on the other end, we're going to plug that into the USW Pro 24 PoE into port 23. Now we can see the power is coming on the Unifi Access hub and it's flashing white. We'll need to get this adopted into our Unifi Access controller. Next up is to plug in the reader light, which is the first Ethernet port beside the power port. And as you can see, the reader light is flashing white as well. Now we're going to do the reader pro, and that's in the one beside the reader light. And as you can see, the reader pro is coming online. So let's go back to my computer. We're going to start up the controller and then get these adopted into Unifi Access. Now that we have everything plugged in, we need to go ahead and start the Unifi Access controller. And right now we're on the main page of my UDM and we're going to go to settings. And then we're going to go over to updates. Here we could find all our controllers and we're going to start access. Here it's showing us there's an update available for Unifi Access and we're going to update the controller. While we're waiting for that to update, I'm going to have my Unifi Access on a complete separate network. So let's go ahead and create that. To do that, we need to get into our Unifi network controller and then we need to hit our settings wheel. Next, we need to select networks and then we're going to create a new network. Then I'm going to call it Unifi Access. It's going to be a corporate network with a VLAN ID of 70, and we're going to put it on 192.168.70.1/24, and then we're going to update the DHCP range, and then press save. Now the Unifi Access network is created, we need to tag the port that it's connecting to. So if we go over to devices and then select my USW Pro 24 PoE, we know that the Unifi Access hub is plugging into port 23. So we're going to go over to ports. We're going to scroll down to port 23 and hit the edit pencil. Here under switch port profile, we're going to give it the VLAN of Unifi Access and then press apply. Also, I'm going to name the port and call that Unifi Access and press apply. Now let's go back to the UDM dashboard and then select Unifi Access. Now we're on the Unifi Access dashboard. If we click on elements, we're not going to see any of the elements yet. If we click add elements, it's still not going to show us anything. So what we need to do, we need to go down to the settings wheel and then go to preferences. Here we need to select our network. Right now the network's on LAN. We need to select it to be Unifi Access and it will save automatically. Now that that management network has been switched over, we could see that it's saying there are some little problems. We're going to go to the side and hit the Elements tab, and then we're going to hit Add Elements. Now we can see all our elements showing up. So our UA Hub, our UA Pro, and then our UA Light. The zone is going to be my basement, and then the door is going to be my LAN room. My UA Pro is going to be the direction of enter, and my UA Light is going to be exit, and then we'll press Add Elements. Now all these elements will adopt and they'll update if needed. Now all our elements have adopted into our Unifi Access and they finished firmware upgrades. We could see that we have our LAN room basement, which is our Unifi Access hub. Then we have our LAN room basement enter, which is our Unifi Access Pro. And then we have our LAN room basement exit, which is our Unifi Access Lite. Under authentication, it's showing us right now that it's just by your NFC card. And for the UA Pro, we could have a pin pad. For the UA Lite, we could have it set to wave. So we wave in front of the reader and it will open the door, and I'll show you guys that. Then we could see the MAC address, IP address, and then the firmware version. Now we could take a look at the settings of each one of these elements. So we'll click on the UA Hub. And at the top, we could see the 4 ports. We have our uplink that's being powered by our USW Pro PoE, and then we have our Access Reader Lite. Beside that, we have our Access Reader Pro, and then we could add a G3 Flex camera. Under General, we could see the location, model, IP address, MAC address, status, firmware, last update, and uptime. And then it will show us our hub wiring, and this is in real time. So right now I have a Doorstike plugged into this and it's showing that it's on and it's being powered. If I took those 2 conductors out, it would show these off. Under config, we could extend the unlock time. Right now it's set to 5 seconds, but we could turn it up to a full minute. And then we could go under manage and we could download the log files, we could reboot, and we could forget. Under our UA Pro, we have the same information under our general, and then we could look at our config. Here we could have it set to NFC card or PIN card or both. So we'll select both and then press save. Under manage, it's the same thing. We could collect the logs, we could reboot, or we could forget. For the UA Lite, under general, it's the same information, and then we could go to config. So under the config, you could either use an NFC card or you could use the hand wave. You can't use both. I'm going to turn it on to hand wave and press save. We could take a look at our topology, And here we see our UDM is connected to the basement door. The basement door is the UA hub, and then we have both of our readers. Now we can take a look at the dashboard, and this is going to show us some of our statistics. So it's going to show us when people were trying to enter. It will show blocked, and then it will show entered and exit. So block is in red, enter is in dark blue, and then exit is in light blue. And you can see that we had a couple blocks. We only have one total registered user, and the average daily user time has been about 7 minutes. And we could change this graph to be 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, or 3 months. Down below, we could see the user that tried to enter, as well as the authentication type. Below the dashboard, we have locations. This is going to be different door locations. We only have the one, which is our LAN room, but you can create different door groups if you would like. And now we have our user and NFC card section. So we have two users right now, which are both Cody. One is my single sign-on and one is a local account. And we can see this top one is associated to this NFC card. So now let's go ahead and create a new user. So we're going to go add user. The top one will be add user. You could add batch of users, or you could import users from CVS. We're just going to go add user. And the first name will be hello, and the last name will be YouTube. We could give them an employee ID if we would like, and then we could select which group they're a part of, which will just be the Mac Telecom UDM Pro. Now we need to choose how they're going to authenticate. So we could select an NFC card that's already registered with the access controller, which I have 104 and 105, or we could add a card, which we'll do. So I'll press add card. And then we need to select the location of where we want this card to activate. So it could either be on the UA Pro or it could be on the UA Lite. I have both of them next to me, so it's not a big deal. But if you're doing a lot of access control, you may want to buy a UA Lite just for your desk so you don't need to run to these doors. So I'm going to take out one of the new cards and we're going to select the Lite reader. Now it's saying hold the card against the screen for 5 seconds. And now it says UA 10006 was found. Are you sure you want to assign this to Hello YouTube? And we'll press assign. Also, we could give them an option if they want to enter a PIN code for the UA Pro, and we'll give them a PIN code of 1234 and we'll press add. So now the Hello YouTube user has been added and we should be able to swipe into the door. Now we have the new user created, Hello YouTube. We need to give it permissions into what doors we want it to access. So if we go to the left-hand side and click on policies, we can see there's a default admin policy. We're going to go ahead and click on that. And here we could see that the only person allowed is Cody McCallum, which is my main account. We're going to go ahead and hit select people. Now we're going to go to users and then we're going to click on Hello YouTube and press OK. Here we could select which doors we would want them to go to if we had more than one door. We could also set a schedule so that they could only be in during certain times. Right now we're going to leave it 24/7 and press save. Also under policies, we could create schedules and we could create holiday groups if we want to have it locked down on different holidays. Now that the Hello YouTube account has permissions, let's go ahead and swipe on the UA Pro. And there's a couple different settings that we could do within the UA Pro. We could either have it just read the first name or the first and last name, and I'll show you guys that a little later on, as well as showing you guys how the pin pad works. Under visitors, we could add a visitor if we're having somebody in for the day, and we could click on add visitor. Here we could put in their first name, and then we could put in their last name. We could select the location we want them to be able to access, and we could put on the LAN room door, as that's the only one I have. And then we could select a reason why they're coming. It could be business, guest, contractor, delivery, or others. I'll put in contractor. And then we could select show more information. Here we could put in their phone number, their email, their company, their remarks, or we could add people to this visitor list and press next. We could do it as a one-time visit or a periodic visit, and we could select the time that they're able to get in through these doors. We could give them a card and a PIN code, so we'll go add new card. And then I'll select the UA Lite again, and then we'll put the card up to the reader. Now the card was found and we're going to assign it to this visitor. And then we'll press add. Let's test the card out.
Jane Doe.
And once it hits the end time of April 26 at 23:59, this card will be expired. We could look at upcoming visitors, all visitors, which we only have one, and then we could look at the visitor logs, which will tell us where the visitor went. If we look under access logs, it's going to tell us everything that's happened within our Unifi Access system. And then we could go down to settings. So it's showing the firmware version that the Unifi Access is on. It's showing our door status, which is normal. And then we have two emergency options. So we have an emergency lockdown and an emergency evacuation. The emergency lockdown, once activated, all doors will be locked. And I'll show you guys that. And one thing I don't like about this is if there was an actual emergency, we need to put in our password as well as our 2FA key, which will take some time. So let's go ahead. I'll press emergency lockdown. And now I'm going to have to enter my password. After entering the password, we need to put in our 2FA key, which will take a little bit of time to look up. And then we need to press enable. And now we can see the door status is an emergency lockdown. Once it's in lockdown, we can see on the UA Pro that it's saying lockdown, and on the UA Lite, it is shining red. If we tried to swipe in, it wouldn't work. So it's blocking us from getting in or out. Again, to bring the door status back to normal, we need to press reset and then enter our password and our 2FA key and then press reset. And now our door status is set to normal. Let's go ahead and press the emergency evacuation. Again, we need to put our password in and then put in our 2FA key. And now on the Reader Pro, you could see that it says evacuation and it's blinking. And on the Reader Lite, you could see it's blinking back and forth from red to blue. So all the doors right now are currently open. I have a Doorstike that's connected to the Unifi Access and it is open right now. When it was on emergency lockdown, this was locked. One thing about the emergency lockdown and evacuation, I'm not too sure if you have a siren connected, if it makes any noise, as I don't have a siren. I'm planning on getting one, so I will let you know. If you do have a siren connected to your Unifi Access and it does make a noise, let me know in the comments below. Next up, we have our preferences. At the top, we have advanced security, only allow Unifi Access cards. So these are the NFC cards. As it currently stands, we could use any NFC card and you could use your phone if it supports NFC. Below that, we have video capture, which a hard drive is required inside your UDM Pro. Every time someone swipes on your UA Pro, this will take a screen capture of them. So we'll turn that on. And then we could set the video capture duration. Right now it's set to 8 seconds, but you could set it from as low as 2 or up to 10 seconds. Below that, we have our pin code length. We could have it set to 4 digits, 6 digits, or 8. Next, we have our network, which we've already set up to be on our Unifi Access network. And then we have our storage and capacity. Here it says time purge for video captures. Time-based purging deletes video captures footage from your hard drive once you've reached a maximum time limit. We could turn that on and then we could set it to 30 days and press apply changes. Now we could take a look at backups and recovery. Here we could take a backup of our configuration on our Unifi Access, or we could restore Unifi Access and users from a backup. Now that we've turned on the hard drive for video captures, we could see that we have some recent captures and we could go over top of them and see what was happening. We could also click on view more, and then we could expand these to be bigger and then see the video capture in the top right corner. And we could also download it. This would be useful in case somebody got their hands on somebody's card and signed in. You would be able to verify by their face and by the video. Lastly, I'm going to show you guys the Doorstike and the maglock, as well as the UA Pro management features. So here's our Unifi Access hub and everything plugged in. Right here, we have our Doorstike. Right now, we can't open it, but if we swipe one of our NFC cards, it should open. And then we're able to open it. Now I've taken the Doorstike off and connected the maglock, and we can see that power is going through it because the maglock is sticking onto the other side. If we swipe, this magnet is going to fall off. And you can see that the maglock works. And you guys will see the full physical installation when we go to the job site next month. Now, since we set the Unifi Lite reader to be wave motion to open the doors, we could swipe our hand in front of it and it will open. And that will unlock the door for us to get out. Now we're in the admin mode and there's a few things we could do. We could do NFC card registration, so we could register different cards within this setting. We could change the volume of the UA Pro. Right now it's set to 70, but you could turn it down as low as you want. We have brightness, which we could turn up the brightness of the UA Pro screen. We have TOF distance. This is the range to our face. And then we have a greeting. So this is where we could have our greeting message, which we don't have any set, but you could have it set, say hello, hi, or welcome. Below that, we could say if we wanted to have the full name, the last name, or first name only. And then under About is just going to tell us everything about the UA Pro, the firmware version, the IP MAC address. So final thoughts on Unifi Access. I really like Unifi Access. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I just think the simplicity of it and ease of use is going to attract a lot of people, as well as they have the built-in controller into the UDM Pro. Next month, I'm going to be doing a physical install of a UDM Pro USW 24 PoE, some cameras, and 3 access hubs, and we're going to be able to film that. So you guys will see the physical install as well as some of the configuration. If you guys like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. All right, thanks.